CMMS Radio talks about all things CMMS, computerized maintenance management software, focused on maintenance management. It's the people, the process, and the culture that make your CMMS journey a success. Streamline Asset Management User Conference in Greenville, South Carolina. We're here with Peter Jurcso, and he is with CERN. And we were just having a few talks earlier this morning, a little bit yesterday. And Peter, first I want to welcome you to CMMS Radio.
Thank you for the opportunity.
It's really great to catch up on these things, and I love learning from industry experts that have been there and done it. So I'd like to ask right away, how did you get started? How did you come into the space of asset management, maintenance, reliability, all of it?
Okay, originally I'm a mechanical engineer with the specialization of management of manufacturing processes, and I spent quite a bit of time in IT. And this is how I ended up at CERN, having an opportunity to work on the World Wide Web at the place where the web was created. And after a short while, this moved towards web applications for HR. Then I spent time in HR, where I mostly moved towards finances, and I ended up in finance. In the finance, it was interesting, a lot of learning, and quite stressful. So at a certain point, I decided, let's go back to engineering. And that's where I ended up in the service which is providing tools for the CERN control center, overseeing all the infrastructures, all the accelerators. And one day it was a question, do I have an interest to move towards more the asset and maintenance management, because I already seen some of these things, work orders created by the 10,000s, the different alarms which are connected to the devices. And I said yes. And it was roughly 10 years ago when I ended up with asset and maintenance management.
So when it comes to all these signals and data coming in, one of the big things, here we are in 2025, it's all about data, digital transformation, all that. But I like to kind of take all that and just say, let's get back to the context. So is it true that we can get a lot of data, but a lot of clients still need a tremendous amount of help understanding how to, A, contextualize that data, and B, once they've done that, how to put it into action to make useful maintenance and reliability, data-driven decisions?
I absolutely agree with you. The biggest question is how to have useful data. In many, many cases, the data is generated in abundance. And we can unfortunately say, in a lot of cases, the data which is coming in is not the best quality. And if you are basing your decision on this data, the outcome will not be what you expect. So in many cases, I would like to say it's better to have no data than wrong data.
Now, on that, what would you say is the best way for someone to do it if they're not going to go after the data? Like if we take away the software for a moment, what does it really come down to if they want to create an environment where things are moving smoothly, excellently, and they are reliable, but they're not leveraging technology?
It's always 3 points, the 3 Ps, the people, the processes, and the platform. All these things are necessary to have it together. If you are missing one of them, you will lose on the whole.
Yeah, and it's just a great way to say it because it says it all. I've always kind of thought about how we've got all these great technologies, but if we don't have the culture set in place, the people, and the process is a part of that, people are bought in, and we've got those fundamentals in place, I feel like that's the best time to bring the technology in to then level up what's already really good. In other words, maybe effective first, efficient second, and your role, like when it comes to CERN and what you do for the clients, using Hexagon or any kind of asset management scenario that they're in, you come in to help them essentially make sense of all that?
Absolutely. The idea is that the user is coming with some requirements, some needs, some wish. We have to listen to it and try to find a solution which is for that problem, for that challenge, possibly with our existing tool set. Because even if I'm taking Hexagon EAM, it's such a vast functionality around, it's extremely difficult even to know what exists, what would be needed for that specific use case, and how it should be configured to really fulfill that need and help the user to make their things more efficiently, more effectively, or even just simple.
Yeah, and we were talking about that this morning where one of the things when it comes to all the different organizations trying to help organizations get into, buy these solutions, these technology solutions, they need stronger skill sets on how to listen and understand the client. And I've always wondered what makes the difference between the individuals that just shout the buzzwords and talk the talk but don't walk the walk. What do you think the difference is? Is it that they haven't been told or taught how to actually listen more than they talk, or is it that they haven't spent time in the environments around the people? What do you think it might be?
My impression that this is more related to people skills. You really have to be able to understand and really feel the position of that other people. It's really something about to understanding in general. And as you pointed out in some of your discussions earlier, it's not surprising that we have 2 ears and only 1 mouth.
It's kind of a seems like it's a natural design that gives us a signal that we should be listening a heck of a lot more than we're talking. And I kind of think of it as maybe from our basal kind of functionality within our brain, it's designed for survival. So we do better if we pay closer attention. You can't pay as close attention when you're talking as when you're listening. So I like the way you put that too. And that was a really good conversation. I wish we could have been recording it, but I think we were cutting loose saying some pretty strong things. So it's maybe better that we didn't record it. Now, when you come into environments, do you personally get involved in the on-site assessments when there is a client that says, hey, we want to bring you in, we want to have you help us, we use this solution, but we're a little bit lost. Do you do some of the on-sites as well?
Yes, absolutely. We have lots of situations when different teams develop their own in-house solutions a long time ago. And now we are reaching the age when those people who have been responsible for these things are retiring or changing directions. And they are standing there with data, with information from the past. They know that the existing tools cannot be used, and they are saying, okay, let's go toward the standard, which is used by everybody else. Join those users who are using these EM solutions really starting from the late 80s. And then it's the classical process that, okay, let's see, what do you have, what you would like to trace, and how you expect that we can help you.
Do you find when you're there with the clientele, and obviously there's going to be some people that understand what they're doing, where they're going, but do you sometimes see that they need a lot more education about what they're about to do and why they're doing it? And if so, how do you help them with that?
Yes, we have situations when it's absolutely clear that the people need significantly more understanding. And this is why we have in-house training courses. We have more theoretical on asset and maintenance management. And we have really hands-on half-a-day modules for those who are working on the field with the different tools to ensure how they can do their work more efficiently with these technologies.
Do they then, as you move through one of the engagements, have opportunities to reach back out, bring you back in, and do you also leave them with some information so that they can keep themselves? I'm thinking of this idea of reinforcement. You've come in, you've helped them out, but how do you assure that what you've taught them and helped them with is going to really stick?
We are absolutely ensuring this because these persons who are asked for our help becoming our permanent clients, and of course we will provide further support for their work. So we are not just helping to set up something and then say goodbye, but we are really continuing following these users because they can also be a very useful reference for any upcoming new challenge.
Now I want to switch us to, all the talk is about AI and how to me, it seems like it's often touted as this magic silver bullet that's going to do all of these things. What about that whole scenario when someone's looking at leveraging AI and they're interested because it's all the rage? Where can they go wrong? And then where can they go right? Where can they really leverage it properly?
Okay, the first point with the AI is absolutely depending on the highest quality data. If you don't have high quality data, you can run the most sophisticated AI approach on it. the results will be disappointing. So you really have to have a clear data. And this is why in many these kind of AI projects you see a lot of human interventions first just to clean up the initial data before they can do anything else.
Right.
We have domains where the AI tools could be very useful, typically when you are processing existing documentation. You can put it into the large language models and they will process your documentation and they can provide good answers based on the data that you provide.
Are there, in your view, companies out there that are touting these kind of features that are AI-centric, that are really only surface level? And if so, how does somebody figure out if somebody's really doing it right, it's actually going to make an impact?
I have the impression quite a bit of companies are showing that, okay, we are AI-driven and we are providing these things, but not really onto the depths which is really providing some significant positive change.
Is there a way that clients out there, people that are looking into it, they can help themselves kind of figure it out? So what I mean is, rather than asking the vendor, or maybe even this, a question they could ask some of those vendors that would kind of put them to the test, is there anything that you think would help them to not make a misstep?
I have the impression this is a situation when the client should educate themselves beforehand reaching out towards a provider, because they have to learn what is the current level of technology in this domain and what they can do and what they can expect, not expecting the magic. Very simple example, if you have 8,000 sensors which are collecting data and you would like to put an AI model on it, most probably the AI model will not work because you have relatively few data points. But from your perspective, 8,000 is already a big number.
Yeah. Question on that, with over-censoring, is that a thing? Do we see too often that various facilities, manufacturing organizations, oil and gas, whatever it might be, are leveraging too many sensors and they don't realize or understand that they're leveraging too many?
Usually, when they have this enormous amount of data collection, of course, we are collecting noise. And usually the experts know what are the handful of indicators and parameters which could provide really an important insight in sense of reliability, in sense of maintenance of these things. And it's difficult to keep up with these things. I also understand that we are collecting data now because we don't know that maybe in the future we will have a way to reach back and reuse this data from a new perspective, and it could be at that point extremely useful.
Right, so that hasn't been figured out yet, but it probably will.
Exactly.
We're always, progressing, advancing, innovating, as we like to say, and I think sometimes that comes at a great cost, but sometimes that becomes so painful that we solve it in reverse, and that's an actual thing, so that's interesting. So with regards to Streamline, the Streamline Asset Management User Conference, do you have any favorite things about it or things that you're really looking forward to as you start to engage with people later on today and throughout the week?
Personally, I really like this aspect that you have lots of opportunities outside the scheduled sessions to discuss with somebody just in a coffee break or at lunchtime, or even today at lunch. Somebody approached me that last year he heard one of my talks and now he would like to ask questions because he reached that point when that could be useful for his organization. So for me, all these things which are happening outside the sessions are similarly or even more important than the sessions itself.
Yeah, I think it's so well said, because it's the conversations that matter, and it's not even about selling. And the theme this year is community. That's why we have a series of sponsors that are all doing similar things, helping people leverage the Hexagon platform and improve all aspects of their asset management approach, whether it's maintenance and reliability or otherwise. And it's about all those conversations and figuring out how we can all help. And I know for me, I get to learn from experts like yourself and, not go too far and adopt too many terms and pretend I'm the expert. So I really want to thank you for this time with me here on CMMS Radio, and I'm sure we're going to talk a heck of a lot more the rest of the week. So Peter, thanks for being here on CMMS Radio.
Thank you very much one more time for this opportunity.
You got it.
Did you find this episode helpful? Please send us some feedback, suggest a topic, or ask a question. Reach out to CMMS Radio if you need a co-pilot on your CMMS project. Visit CMMSradio.com and use the What's on Your Mind link. Thank you for tuning in to CMMS Radio, your resource for all things CMMS, from selection to implementation, to help you make better choices, learn from industry experts, and have a successful CMMS journey.